Okay, let's now prepare our course for playtesting, and all we need to do to make this course playable in links now is add a T and a pin to each of our holes and then validate our course. So I'm going to zoom in on the first T, and if we click the planting tab and the T tab, we'll see up here we've got plant tee off position. Now I will be going into more detail on planting tees in a later video, but for now we can just use the default settings, and you see again we've got the little plus on the arrow, so it's waiting to plant a tee. We're on hole 1 up here because I'm planting a tee on the first hole, and click, and there's a tee. Now I'm just going to plant a pin on the green, pretty much the same method. So it's select the pin tab, and we've got a plant pin position icon, so we tick that, pick a spot. I'm going to just put one in the center of the green, click. We've now got a pin and a T marker. So now we'd go to our next hole, select hole 2 and do the same thing again. So go to T, it's already on select, and click add T. Right, so I've got a message here. This location is invalid. Make sure you are placing the T on a T area and the distance between the center of the green and the T is within the range allowed for the par. Well, I know I'm placing it on a T area. That's a T texture there. So the problem must be the distance, which isn't really surprising as I made a very long par 3, and I've obviously made it a little too long for the APCD to allow me to go ahead. So we'll come back to this in the next video, how to deal with this situation. But for now, just work around all your holes. If you have the same problems, don't worry, just move on to the next hole. I've only got 2 test holes for now, but you'd select the next hole, again add a T, add a pin, and we'll be able to test any holes that are playable, and we can come back to ones that aren't and sort them out later. So we've got all our T's and pins in. We now need to save our course again. So the first thing to do, as usual, is save it with a new name again. Now I'm on my tests at the moment down to 1H, so save me typing it all in. What I tend to do is click on the latest one, which is 1H, then I'll highlight the H, delete it and change it to an I. It's the next one to be done, and save. I usually rotate my mouse wheel. It's pretty instant saving in the early stages. If you've got a decent computer, it's going to be very fast, but you'll find saving can take quite a while when the course gets larger, and it'll often say ready down here that it's saved far before it's actually ready, and you won't be able to move anything. So the best way I've found to find out when it has actually finished its saving is just scroll the wheel, and as soon as you see the course scrolling, you know it's finished. But as I say, it's pretty instant at the moment. So once you've got it saved, you need to now do another save, which is a validate and save. Now this is important because it makes sure that certain things are working correctly for the game. So it will make sure that the pins are on the green and the right heights, and the T's are in the right places, and it will adjust 3D object heights and crowd heights when those are in, and also add shadows and such like to your planting. So we need to do a validate and save. So I'll click that, and we'll get a box up, and we just click validate and save, and this time we will know when it's finished, because we'll get a box up when it's completed, and it says validation was completed successfully. One or more holes can be played in practice mode. Note, use the checklist. Well, we're not bothering much with checklists. I don't really use those because we're not following the Microsoft way of doing things necessarily. We're not inserting shapes and things, so I don't bother checking the checklist. So, one or more holes can be played in practice mode, it says. Well, you can actually play the holes in the normal game mode. This tends to make you think you can't, the way it's worded there, but you can actually test your holes just playing the game. But for now we will go to practice mode first, and there's a good reason for doing that. So I'll click OK. Now we just need to come out of our APCD and copy the course that we've saved, copy it into our links folder, and then run the game. Okay, I've got my links game running now, so I'm just going to go to options, course manager, add course, and if we've labelled it the way I said, it should be the first one in the list. Here we are, AAA test. Click add. I click no because I want to leave it in the folder I've got it in, and it's now in our list of courses. So next thing, come out of links and come back in. Now we do this to make sure that the registry is correct, and if we have any crashes, the course will still be there in the course manager. If you put in a course, it's the same in actual game of links. If you install a course and don't exit before you play the course, if you have a crash, it will be removed from the course manager, and also if you're playing a game, the autosave or the last save game will say it's incompatible, and you won't actually be able to continue either. So you should always, whenever you install a course, you should always come out of links and come back in again. So we've got our course in, and we're now going to go to practice, and we'll select the course, and here's my course. Now the reason it's best at the start to come into practice rather than the full new game is because any holes that aren't playable will actually stay grey like this, so we can instantly see if we've got any problems. If we've forgotten to plant a pin or a T, maybe on hole 5, then hole 5 would be greyed out. So you can use this as a checklist just to check which holes are playable and which aren't. So at the moment, because I couldn't get the pin and T on my second hole planted, it's still greyed out, and just hole 1 is selected at the moment. So as I say, you probably want to set your speed settings quite slow. I'm going to leave it on moderate challenging, medium challenging for now, but it might be that that's quite unplayable. I would normally try a slower one, but I'm pretty sure I've got this green playable at this sort of speed, so we'll see if I'm right or not. So begin play through. I'll leave the normal drops rules off for now. That way I can pick up the ball, move it around to check anything that I see that might be something I need to deal with. So that's another useful thing about checking it out in practice rather than the game, because you can move the ball around wherever you like and find the problems quicker. One of the downsides, though, to the practice is you can't use computer players to test it, and this is something I really recommend you do. You'll spot 100 times more problems and errors while you're watching than when you're playing. When you're playing, your focus is on what you're doing, you're hitting the shot, your distance to the green, etc. You've got a lot of things going on in your head, and you'll find a lot of things will get overlooked that are quite blindingly obvious if you were just sitting watching. So I always have a couple of play testers created with usually pretty low ability settings, down in the sort of 60 to 70 range, and I set them off around my course and just watch, and I spot an awful lot of problems that way. So I definitely recommend that. But obviously for your first tests you're going to want to play it anyway. You've created your course, the fun bit is trying it out. So anyway, we'll begin play, and here's my hole. Well, I can see the pin, so I quite like the shape of this hole at the moment. The only thing I can see that's going to be a problem is this ridge we've got here. I'm almost certainly going to end up with a blind second shot, which I'm not going to be happy with. So the choice really is either for me to lower this ridge down or raise this green up much higher, more on the level of this hill, which I possibly could because the next tee's on the hill anyway, so that might be the option to take. But yeah, it's decision times when we're playing, but I'll just have a look. Let's hit a ball. I don't know whether I can hit a ball playing on the arm of this chair like this. This isn't how I normally play, so I'm probably not going to be able to get anywhere near the fairway. Oh, that wasn't too bad. So we can see roughly now what it's going to look like from a normal drive. Well, yeah, as I expected, I can't see a thing for my second shot, which I don't like. I always like to be able to see where I'm going, so I'm going to have to make some changes here. I'll just tap a ball up there. Let's get up near the green. And it's nice to have a little break from the designing and have a bit of fun. That's another thing I like with my AI testers as well. Whenever I have done a fair bit of designing, it's nice to put your feet up, have a cup of coffee and just relax and let the computer players do the work while you're just chilling out for a bit. And as I say, you'll spot a lot of things that way. Well, let's have a look at this green. It actually looks very, very playable. So bit of a slopey bit there, so we wouldn't be able to plant any pins on that. It's a bit too slopey, but most of this green, no problems at all. So I'm reasonably happy with that green. Didn't even think about the distance for that, so it's probably nowhere near. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should play like that all the time. Don't think, don't even look at distances, just pull it back and hit it. So a par on my very first hole on my course. Maybe I've made it too easy. Now I'll just show you what happens if you do go to new game. What you'll find is your course is in orange rather than white. This is because it's not a full 18 holes, but it will still allow you to play it. So again, I'll set this to moderate challenging, medium challenging. This course does not contain 18 holes. Game continue by repeating holes as necessary. So basically it will just put in other holes to replace the ones that are missing. So if you've got hole 4 and 6 and hole 5's missing, it will use hole 6 as hole 5 and hole 7 as hole 6 until it gets to 17, and then it won't have enough holes, so it will put 1 in again and you'll play 1 as 18. So you can play the holes multiple times if you've got less than 18. if you just want to check it out. So I've got my computer brother in to play, as I usually use him for some of the testing. He's one of my better AIs, and I can just sit back and watch him. It's also very useful because computer players tend to play very differently sometimes from humans, so you really need to get the computer players correct as well, because they follow the whole paths. Because people are obviously going to be playing against computer players. Not everybody plays against humans, so you need to make sure that it's working with the computer players as well as for humans.